Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with a video.
My family is pretty wealthy. You could say that I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. My siblings and I got everything we needed, and it was amazing. My parents, whenever they got the chance, told us of how they had to start from rock bottom, so we should be grateful that we get to enjoy all of that we have now. They taught us prudence and character by telling us stories, but it was our choice to learn it or not. My younger sister is the crazier one between the two of us. You could say that I got the training and she didn't. Plus, my parents had her after wanting a girl for a while, so they pampered her more than they should have. The result was that she turned out to be a spoiled brat who didn't want to work a day in her life. She was really sweet when she wanted to be, but if you were not in her good books, you got it bad. She is 22 and I am 27. I work in a law firm and I'm doing pretty well for myself, even though I'm aware that I don't really need to work that hard. I'll still rather work for my own money, and whatever I get from my parents would be a plus and not all that I would depend on. My sister, on the other hand, is living the soft life and squandering my parents' money. She failed so many of her courses because she was missing her classes. She thinks that our parents are there to supply her every need, which they do, and it's annoying because I know that it is not helping her. My sister stopped going to school for a whole semester, and my parents had no idea. To them, she is the perfect daughter who is studying business management. I don't know how she got away with everything that she did. It was as if my parents were blinded by her charm, so they couldn't see what was really happening. Anyone who tried to taint the image of their daughter became the enemy, including me. I had to try to speak to them about the way they gave her everything she wanted and the kind of lifestyle that she lived. But they wouldn't hear it, so I didn't bother, and I found out that she wasn't going to school. Once, she came home and asked our parents for money to start a business. They obliged her. After all, she was studying business management, so they expected that she would know what she was doing, or at least use it as some form of experiment. Safe to say that the business never really hit it off, but they don't know that, and they think that she's making money for herself. We both don't live with our parents, so they are not aware of what goes on in our lives. When I turned 25, I was entitled to a $300,000 inheritance from my parents, but I asked them to keep it until I was 30. This was because I had a goal to make that for myself by the time I was 30, and then their money would just be an added advantage for me. After all, it was my money, so I didn't think it was going anywhere. That was the mistake I made. We usually came back home once or twice a month to have family time together, and in one of those times my sister seemed to not be happy at all, and my parents were very worried. She was being really dramatic, and I couldn't tell if it was an act or if something was really going on with her, so I decided to wait it out. She told my parents that her business wasn't doing well at all. In my mind, I thought she was finally telling them the truth, so I let my guard down. She said that she was now homeless and didn't know what to do and how to go about it. She mentioned that she had been struggling for months but didn't want to be a bother and couldn't pay for her house, so she lost it. She said that she wanted to invest more in her business and that she knew exactly where everything went wrong and she would like to have the chance to fix it. That was when things started to get suspicious. My parents decided that they were going to give her my money. That is, the $300,000 that was for me. I obviously didn't agree to it, but that only made them want to give her all the more. They said that they believed in her dreams, and I have to begin to believe in her too. If only they knew how unserious she was. I knew that something was up, and this had to be one of my sister's schemes to get money from our parents. I promised myself that I was going to expose her because I was pretty sure that she wasn't going to invest it. She was going to lose that money, my money, and if I could stop her, I would, because I had plans for that money for when I hit my goal, so I wasn't going to let my lazy and entitled sister steal it away from me. After my parents gave her my money, I was so pissed, but I didn't know how to expose her. Yes, she had a business, but it hadn't been doing well since she started it. So I wondered why she would come up and say that now. Another part of me wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, but I didn't want to take chances with my money. I was going to find out the truth no matter what. I started digging and found that she actually lost her house, but she had gone back to school. That made me feel guilty for investigating her because it seemed like she was trying to get her life together. On the surface, it all seemed genuine to me, but I had this gut feeling to keep searching to see if there was something fishy. I called her best friend to try to get any information from her. Turns out they had fallen out because of a big argument they had, so she was more than willing to talk to me about everything. I met with her best friend in my office. I asked her to come to my office for privacy because I didn't want anyone to see us. When she arrived, she looked kind of overdressed for a regular meeting. This friend of hers always had a crush on me, and she usually tried to flirt with me, but I ignored all her advances. Today, I was ready to do whatever to get the truth from her. I told her how good she looked, and she couldn't stop smiling. I wasn't lying, though. She looked really good. And if she wasn't my sister's friend, and if I wasn't using her to get information, I could have considered having something with her. That aside, she told me that the reason why she and my sister fell out was because she had been trying to help her get more serious with her life and make her see reason why she was wasting all the opportunities that life handed to her. Opportunities that a lot of other people didn't have. Knowing my sister, she didn't listen, but the last straw was when she lost her apartment because she had been living above her means and not paying her bills. And the only way out she saw was to find a way to take my $300,000 inheritance. It was then that she realized that she was selfish, and it didn't seem like she was changing anytime soon. They got into a big argument, and they haven't spoken since then, so she doesn't know if she actually went through with it or not. I didn't tell my sister's best friend what was going on, but she somehow figured it out because I had never reached out to her for anything before. She opted to follow me home to inform my parents. I told her that there wasn't enough proof because my sister would simply say that they were no longer friends, so she would do anything to hurt her, and I wanted my money back. We had to find something concrete to let my parents know that my sister isn't who they think she is. After a week, we had nothing, but I wasn't going to give up. Her best friend later brought to my attention that if we got all the evidence we have of her not actually doing what my parents think she was doing, she would lose her credibility and it would be easier for them to believe me. I thought that it was a good idea, so I got information from her school about how she was failing classes and how she was absent for 1 year while she was giving fake reports to our mom and dad. Her business wasn't all so operational, and it had been weeks since she collected the money. Plus, her best friend, being a witness, was an added advantage. There was also her lavish lifestyle on social media, spending money that wasn't hers. We went to my parents' house that evening. They were surprised to see me, but I told them that I came because it was very important. It had to do with my sister. We told them everything with picture evidence. They couldn't believe that their baby would lie to them for this long. I told them that, frankly speaking, it was their fault because they taught us to be prudent, but only practicalized it with me. They gave her whatever she wanted and made her feel like she didn't need to work, so they couldn't expect any more from her now. My sister got summoned home. She was not in the city, so my dad told her to come back home immediately. He confronted her with all the evidence that we brought against her, and she had nothing to say. She couldn't deny it because there was no way we were going to go through all this trouble to cook up so much evidence against her, including the one from her school and social media posts. They were so disappointed in her. I have never seen my parents as angry and hurt as they were that day. She broke their trust. At the time that they found out they could only salvage half of the money, my parents apologized to me for not believing me in the first place. They gave me what was left of the money and cut my sister off. They were not going to pay for a house for her or give her any other money until she learned to be on her feet and grow out of the mess she put herself in. YTA, I wonder if it was your ego that made you not collect your money when your parents gave it to you. You were trying to prove something, and now you lost half of the money. NTA, it is your parents' fault for not taming your sister. They couldn't be that blind. There had to be signs, except they liked to lie to themselves.
Next story.
To start out with, TW for talk of weight, calories, health issues, etc. Because a lot of people find this topic distressing, but I don't know how to talk about my current dilemma without being frank. I'm a 42-year-old woman. My partner of many years is a 50-year-old man. We struggle with opposite ends of weight problems. I have mental and physical health woes, mainly IBS and endometriosis. That makes it a constant struggle to keep weight on. With a lot of effort, I've stayed right above underweight for my height, 125 pounds at 5'9". But if I get sick or busy, my weight drops and I get low energy and sicker. My partner is the opposite. He was neglected as a kid and developed binge eating disorder and a sugar addiction. So he's been 100 pounds or more over a normal weight throughout his adult life, has a BMI well into the obese category, and bears a lot of trauma around food. My partner is responsible for grocery shopping and cooking since he hates cleaning. At the beginning of the pandemic, he went into a panic, PTSD triggered, about worldwide food chain collapse and started stockpiling cheap, long-lasting food. With prices the way they were, and us both out of work at the time, he ended up paying for the food with a credit card that was in my name only. I'd given it to him for emergencies, and, long story short, I'm now almost $20,000 in credit card debt. I'm working again and chipping away at it, but it's really upsetting, especially because he bought food largely to his tastes and not mine. Plus, a lot of it would destroy my stupid IBS gut. Last year, the sugar addiction caught up to my partner and he developed type 2 diabetes. Now he can't eat the food he stored because it's almost all sugar and simple carbs. I've been eating what I can, but that's not a lot since it will make me ill. My partner has done a really good job on regulating his blood sugar by switching to sugar substitutes and keto recipes. But those are even more expensive. A box of keto snack bars is over 3 times as much as my box of granola bars. Ditto for no sugar ice cream. He dislikes vegetables and will only prepare them if I beg. I start feeling crappy if I don't eat vegetables. And he can't have many carbs, so his meals are sometimes just meat, and meat is terribly expensive. He's also bad about using leftovers. With his preferences, the cost of specialty groceries, and the fact that he eats over twice as many calories as I do, the food bills are huge. I'm trying to knock down the credit card debt before the interest mounts up. If he was eating the amount of calories needed to sustain a normal or even overweight BMI, we'd have a lot more money to throw at the debt. With trauma around food and finances, this conversation is a minefield. WIBTA, if I insisted that he eat less, lose weight, it's not an issue of attraction. I think he's handsome regardless, but it's hard to financially support basically an extra person's worth of fat. And it's medically not a good idea for me to cut my own food costs. NTA, he bought $20,000 worth of food to store? That's shocking. I don't think it's out of line to have a frank discussion with him about your budget. I would phrase it like that. He needs to be doing his part to pay down the debt that he incurred. This would include cutting back expenses and getting a job to help out.
Next story.
Huge fight, 23-year-old female, with my significant other, 24-year-old male, over $13 extra at dinner. Was I right to say that he made me feel like shit over the bill? My boyfriend and I haven't been spending that much time together going out lately, due to our schedules. He has a full-time job while I have a job and also am in school right now. No big deal, just life. Last night, on a whim, he told me he wanted to take me to a restaurant he heard about after I got off of work. I was super excited since we haven't done anything in so long, so I rushed home and got ready and he picked me up. Also, note, he makes a pretty nice salary and still lives at his parents' rent-free and is debt-free. He also buys whatever he wants when he wants, goes on multiple trips a year. He's not overly irresponsible with his money. He saves a lot, but he definitely knows how to splurge and enjoy life. He has worked hard and deserves this. I'm not trying to undermine his success. I, on the other hand, am still in college, have debt, work, and I have more bills than he does. Just wanted to throw that out there for this next part. We looked at the menu and we ordered. We also ordered an alcoholic drink to share that was so good. I wanted another one. I asked if we could order another drink, and he rolled his eyes at me, scoffed, and snapped at me, saying that $13 was way too expensive for a drink and didn't want to have to pay $60 total for our bill. Mind you, we actually split a meal because it was big enough to share for two, according to the waiter. That was only $17. Our drink, that was also big enough to share for two, was, well, as you know, $13. We ordered an appetizer that was $15. We ordered water along with it. I can't describe it properly, but he looked and scoffed at me like I was just scum, as if I was asking for too much and not worth a $13 drink. I sat there with tears in my eyes and asked the waiter to bring another drink. I zelled him the $13 for it right then and there. I told him that he was the one who invited me out. He was the one who chose a restaurant, and he can very well more than afford it. I told him that he made me feel like crap, as if I was not worth the $13. But he will gladly drop hundreds or thousands of dollars on trips. In fact, he's going on one next week with his friends, going to the casino, PS4 games, etc. He said that I'm being ridiculous and $13 is too much for a drink, and that's that. I said that wasn't the point. We ended up fighting about it in the car because I said it's as if I'm not worth the $13. But you will drop thousands on everything else? And on top of that, you literally are the one who asked me out and chose the restaurant. Prices were not even that bad, in my opinion. I did not ask him out. I did not choose a restaurant. I'm so frustrated, and I just want to know if I'm being too much or if I'm just justified for being upset. NTA, ma'am, I am poor. I don't have bills besides college tuition, but my part-time job does not leave much money left over. I am a broke bitch. However, if the love of my life wanted a $13 drink, I wouldn't hesitate to get it for him. He's my partner. Why wouldn't I do anything for his happiness, within reason? His smile is worth more to me than $13, even if I am broke. I think that's how most people feel about their partners. Your boyfriend? His attitude is not the norm, and it's also not okay.